impose a clause because they'll find out that people are using it as a loophole in order to get through and evade taxes. All right. And so what they'll do is that's why you need to look at people who've been doing this for over a decade because they've already gone through a full IRS cycle. And you can say, okay, you've been doing this for 11 years. You've never had any audits. You've never had any issues. Okay, great. Let me talk to 3 other people because you might have just been lucky. Let me talk to, a handful of people and see what was the cost of upkeep? What was the cost of conversion? How much time per month do you have to allocate to making sure that this continues to stay, within the standards of the IRS? And then is it worth it, right? Number 5, always do a background check on the person and the entities that the owner associate with. Quick story on this one. I had a recent person say, hey, I think this thing's really legit. I think it checks all the boxes, blah, blah, blah. And so I looked into it, which is not something I normally do because I've kind of made up my mind on this, which is I just pay my taxes. But that being said, I decided to look into this one. And literally on the first Google search I had of the guy who owned the entity, all right, and there's two red flags right off the bat. Number 1 is that the entity was a brand new entity, which means that they're spinning up new entities all the time. That is a big, easy red flag of why don't you have the same entities? Why are you trying to always change entities all the time? That seems weird. There's no reviews online, etc. Okay. Second is and after I Googled this person, they had literally been indicted for tax evasion. And I was like, what? And one of the biggest tax evasion scandals in history, right? And the guy who made the intro was like, but they got acquitted. And I'm like, do you want the reputational risk of being associated with someone like that, right? And if someone might be like, hey, Alex, can't believe you forgive. He was proven, I get it. There's just other people who haven't. And for me, I would rather just not take the risk. That's just my 2 cents. All right. So always do a background check on the people and the entities that they own and are associated with. All right. And then finally, don't spend money on stuff that you wouldn't just to expense it. All right. This is one that I hear all the time. It's just expense it, right? I'm saving X percentage on this. If you spend money that you otherwise wouldn't in order to save money because you don't have to pay taxes on the money, it's cutting off your nose to spite your face, right? Oh, I don't want to pay 30% of $100 or 40% of $100. So I'm just going to not even have $100, right? That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, if you were going to do it, then by all means, if you want to reinvest in the business and that's expensible, then great, then wonderful. As long as it's an asset. And here's the key point: is if we can figure out a way that it can become an asset that's going to build value within the company, and somehow it's expensible, then fantastic, right? That's the idea. But spending money on stuff that you wouldn't otherwise just to not pay taxes is a very, very, very silly way of living life, in my opinion, and ultimately not one that is a good behavior that will build wealth over time. All right. So these are just my 6 rules of thumb that if you're not going to listen to the advice, at least please do these things when you're thinking through some of these other tax structures that you come with. And then finally, these are the beliefs that I currently hold. I'm not saying you have to hold these, but these are the things that have served me very well. All right. So number 1 is that attention is my number 1 most valuable asset. Never do anything that takes it without disproportionate return. Number 2, pay zero attention to tax saving schemes. Focus on the making, not the saving. Number 3, whenever it decides to come up. Right? Number 3, there we go. Replace savings with orders of magnitude. So instead of trying to think in increments, think in orders of magnitude. Instead of saving 10%, think about how can I 10x, and then you'll never have to worry about the taxes again. Number 4, never count your pennies on roads untaken. All right, it'll destroy your spirit and have you focus on the wrong part of your life, your past versus the future. So if you make one of the decisions to start living in the place you want to live, or live in a state that you feel like being in, whatever, right? Don't start thinking, oh, I could have saved 12% over the last 4 years if I had that money right now. Don't do that. It'll destroy your life, and probably you might not have made that money that you made now because you would not have been in this headspace that you are currently, etc. Right? And at the end of the day, there's no benefit to it. So once you make the decision, move on. All right. Number 5, this one, and this